Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be. Welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal podcast. A familiar face, I hope. I've been gone for 3 months, but I'm back. Feeling good. The boys have been talking to me and texting me. We've had a good chat and I'm back. So let me bring them all in. I've forgotten how to do it. No, I haven't. There you go. There they are. Look. There they are.
We should have all disappeared then.
Yeah.
Why did we do it? We should have disappeared there. Come on, you're not up with it, lads. You're not up with it.
Shit.
Oh dear. Yeah, it's been a strange 3 months, hasn't it? With all this going on, no football and all this kind of thing, and oh blimey, I don't know. I painted my house inside and out. I've been off work for 3 months. Don't know what to do with myself, so I said I might as well come back and talk to this lot.
What's Adrian Durham's fucking excuse?
Yeah. Got nothing else.
Dear, oh dear.
Got nothing else to do, so I'll come back and make Lee Judges look at it. Because I'm good at doing that. But no, the band is back together. So it's good. All in the chat. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much. Hello. Craig, my bro. Craig is back. Welcome back, Craig. Thanks very much indeed. Lovely to see you all still here. It's lovely to see all those familiar faces still here. That's amazing. So, yeah, it was episode 110 when I left. So, episode 111 now. I know there has been, but since I've been gone. Now, before we start, I'd just like to say a big thank you to all of you for keeping it going. To be honest with you, when I decided that I was going to go again, I thought that would be the end of it. But you've decided to keep it going. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you to you all. But my biggest thanks, I know that Lee's probably going to get a bit jealous now, but my biggest thanks has got to go to Dan. Dan took it upon himself to keep hosting it, keep plugging away at it. He took over the Twitter. He took over everything. So, Dan, from the bottom of my heart, mate, thank you very much for keeping it going.
No, you're very welcome, mate. I love this podcast. I love speaking to you boys, and I was devastated when I heard that you were thinking again. And I was as excited as everyone, and everyone is clearly on the chat as well, that you were back, Craig. So a huge thank you for coming back, mate, and thank you for that. Much appreciated. Thanks. So cheers, and thank you, boys.
You're very welcome. Episode 111. If you're wondering what everyone's laughing at, we have a little private chat here. I am not going to open it because I'm going to be professional.
Adrian Durham, absolute quality, absolute quality.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
Someone in the chat just put Adrian Durham, SOS. Because it's a new show for Adrian Durham,
Well, I'm pleased to be on it.
Mark's got the gig as Adrian Durham look like. He's on £5 an hour now, it's fantastic,
If you can't beat it,
even his mother-in-law is calling him on it. Even his mother-in-law is calling him on the chat. Adrian Durham. If you can't make it up, I'll tell you. Good old Donna. Well done, love. We love it.
If you can't beat them, join them. That's what
exactly.
I say. Yeah. Anyway, let's not forget Craig's back. So let's start looking him again. Yeah.
Yeah, you can. It's actually something I'm still used to, even though I haven't had it done for a while. But yeah, you can go ahead. Anyway, episode 111, Project Restart. What's going on? It's been. I'll start with Dan on this. I thought, Dan, that with the 3 months without football, that the team might have bonded a bit under Arteta. That Arteta's philosophies and Arteta's views would come across, and they'd come back, and everyone would know what their job is. Everyone would know what was thought of them, what was expected of them. How wrong am I? How wrong have I been? Manchester City, an absolute shocking. You look at that Manchester City performance and you think, right, okay, we'll let it go. It's Man City. one of the best teams in the league. We'll let it go. And then to come back with that performance against Brighton. I mean, Dan, what is going on?
Yeah, it's worrying times, and I think what's even more worrying is the fact that the preparation has clearly been as piss poor as expected with these injuries that we are now getting. The stuff you hear about the COVID-related stuff, the stuff you hear about Stansted to Manchester, injuries that you pick up and are sometimes unlucky, to be fair. But I don't see any other team in the Premier League picking up as many injuries as Arsenal in the first 2 games. Just put it that way. I think when you look at the performances, they're the things that have surprised me the most, because I didn't expect to beat Man City whatsoever. I wanted to see a performance. We didn't get one. For the first 20 minutes of that game, I thought potentially the game plan that Arteta looks like he kind of had was working. Injuries I've spoken about then forced David Luiz on, and the rest is history. That guy is a waste man. Get him gone. Do not extend that man's contract. And of course, that game, had so many question marks over some of the team selections and subs by Arteta. And again at the weekend on Saturday, likewise against Brighton. My biggest few problems at the moment is actually the fan base, to be honest with you. And I took a lot of stick when I was saying that I tapped out of this football season. And the last few days have proven why I've tapped out of this football season, just for the pure fact that I've looked at these games. The only one I can honestly say that I thought was a good game to watch was Spurs Man United, because there was a few bits of drama and it was quite good. The rest of them have been absolutely abysmal to watch. I look at the Merseyside derby yesterday and someone had to wake me up. It was that poor. There's been others like that which have just been as bad, and Arsenal have made things no better by their pure, shocking performances. Now, Man City for me, David Luiz, I don't care what people say, how good Arteta's made him. This guy needs to go. 2 shocking mistakes yet again. 4 penalties he's given away, most of which he's been sent off for. And he's 32 years old. He's an experienced defender. And we've got Saliba coming in, who people want to partner next to him. I don't want Saliba learning off of him or Mustafi or any of these defenders. These senior players in this team honestly need to look at themselves and say, is my time up here? I think so. Let's get out of here. And the last thing I'll say is, I said that I thought we'd finish out of Europe. Everyone laughed and said I was deluded. I went for 8th. That to me looks very optimistic now. 8th. I think we'll be lucky to get in the top half the way we're playing at the moment. And that's what we deserve. It's what I feel we need. People say we'll be financially screwed. Good. Because what might happen then is we might have to sell some of these absolutely god-awful senior players that are on ridiculous wages. We have got so many of them, Craig, stinking out the place. El Neni and Mkhitaryan stinking out the place. Mustafi, we can't get rid of him. Nobody wants these players. That Tyrone Mings can go to Aston Villa for 26 million and we can't get rid of El Neni and Mustafi for 5. That's how poor these players are. We're looking at players now like Mesut Ozil, who's just skint in the club. £18 million a year and the guy's not kicked a football yet. The only players I would worry about leaving, that I'd be upset about leaving, would be our best player of the season and last 2 seasons, in my opinion, which is now injured for the rest of the year, Leno and Aubameyang. Now, Aubameyang's going to go. I think we accept that. Everybody else over the age of 24 years old, goodbye. Everybody else under the age of 24 years old, give them a chance. These players that are young, right, are not learning off Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp anymore like Fabregas and Van Persie were. They're learning off of Xhaka and Ozil. Just let that sink in. These players are not going to get any better. So we have to just take a hit, in my opinion, now and just use this youth, because the senior players, they are dead. Honestly, they are dead players. So I want to see this transfer window a mass exodus, and I want to see us move forward with some of these young players, because I believe that it is harsh to have a go at Arteta. I know we'll get into it, but I do not blame the manager for this. He's just walked into an absolute mess left behind him by these clowns that are running our club. And I want them out, not Arteta.
Well said, mate. I mean, a lot of people in the chat echoing, and you're there saying spot on, Dan. Well said. Mark, when we sat and we spoke about Emery getting the sack, and we said that he just wasn't good enough, and it was too much of it was too much. The club was too big for him, and this, that, and the other. I sit here now, Mark, and I'm wondering, was it Emery's fault at all?
No. I mean, he did make a load of questionable decisions, didn't he? But it's like people saying about Arteta, and I know we'll get onto that. But these players now have been sent out with varying degrees of different tactical jobs to do by different managers who have said to them, okay, let's set up like this, let's set up like that. And every time we do, we've been found wanting. The gulf in class between us and City is like men and boys. They now don't. It reminds me of when we were in our pomp and they are in their pomp with the best manager in the world, with some of the best players in the world. And when we were like that, we used to turn up anywhere in England, bar in Old Trafford, and we used to think, how many will we win by today? And when we play Manchester City, like Newcastle, like Crystal Palace, like Southampton, like all these teams that we are competing with for league position, it is a case of keep it down because the goal difference could be important come the end of the season. That is where we're at. That is a fact. The players that we have are bang average. So you can have the best manager in the world. Pep Guardiola would not have this team any further up the league. Okay? So we can say it's the players' fault, it's the manager's fault. The players can only do their best, right? And the manager can only set up a system, but if the players aren't good enough to see it through, it's not his fault. So where does the blame lie? I think we all know and we all agree the blame lies with the recruitment team, and they are answerable to themselves.
Harry, what do you say about that? I mean, the recruitment team, we have wasted a lot of money in recent years. Some of the dross we've bought for big money, your mate Xhaka being one of them, and Mustafi, and I don't even want to go there. Where is it? It feels like we've gone back in time. It feels like when we all realised that Wenger had to go. I feel like we're back there.
For me, I mean, people will say about Granit Xhaka, look what's happened when he's not been in the team. Look, where is our midfield? We don't have a midfield without Granit Xhaka. So what these last two games have shown, where he obviously went off early doors against Manchester City and then he was missing against Brighton, is whether you like him or not, he is so important to this football team at the moment. Now, there's a debate to be had about whether he's good enough for the long run, and I totally accept that. But in terms of right now at Arsenal Football Club, he is a key player, whether you like it or not. He's been out of the team twice and we've been a shambles. We haven't been able to hold possession. We haven't had any steal in the middle of the park. We've had no discipline, absolutely nothing. In terms of where we are at the moment, I think with Arsenal, Mikel Arteta came in and he took over a team that were obviously in free fall. He steadied the ship. We went unbeaten between the start of the year and, of course, when football stopped due to COVID-19. And then we had this long-ass break. And people would talk about, the 3 months and that Mikel Arteta would have had time to embed his philosophy and do this and do that. The reality is he couldn't see those players for most of that time. He wasn't on the training ground with any of those players. There's only so much you can do on Zoom. And the reality is that it wasn't like a pre-season at all. It was a setback rather than an advantage because it disrupted not only our momentum, but it disrupted the relationship that Arteta was trying to build and the time that he was able to spend on the field implementing his ideas. Now, do I think that Mikel Arteta has got everything right since he's taken the job? No, I don't. I think he has made some decisions in game that have been questionable. Some of his team selections have been a bit questionable. I think that we've got to be mindful of a couple of things. So the first one is that we are a long way behind where we need to be in terms of the quality of players that we have. There's only so much you can do. I can't remember which one of you guys says this, but you can't polish a turd. So there's only so much you can do. And the other thing is that, and this is another debate, and it's why I wanted somebody more experienced. That's not to say I'm not behind Arteta now, but he is somebody who is still learning. And unfortunately, he's going to be learning on this job. And there are going to be mistakes along the way. But I can also say to you that it doesn't matter who we would have gone and got. For Arsenal to get back to anywhere close to where they need to be, there will be bumps in the road. There will be setbacks. There will be disappointments. There will be lots of things. And for the most part, I actually thought Arsenal were okay against Brighton at the weekend, for the most part. But 2 moments where we switched off again, like we always do, is what's cost us. And unfortunately, at this level, you can't afford for that to happen. But there was, I get, we did create some chances. We did have the majority of the ball, which is better than what we've seen sometimes before. So, look, I'm not going overboard about it. For me, the biggest disappointment from Saturday is losing Bernd Leno rather than the result.
Yes, massive loss, Bernd Leno. Looks like he's going to be out for the year. Some people report, and we'll come back to that later on because we'll have to have a discussion about where do we go. Do we go into the transfer market for a keeper, or do we let Martinez have a go? Lee, your overall feelings after the Manchester City and Brighton game?
Manchester City game, it just proves that we're a long, long way from where we want to be. That Manchester City game proves that we're a long, long way from winning the title. Saturday proves that we're a long, long way from getting into the top 4. And I said it on an interview, everything that is wrong about Arsenal Football Club was in that 90 minutes. And I'll tell you why, first of all, let's look at the forwards. Chances missed. Brighton are struggling for their lives. They're not that very good. They had 3 chances in the whole game. They took 2 of them. We had about 7. Missed. We then score won the goal, which we've had to work hard for. You know what I mean? It's not been given to us. We've had to work hard for it. We get it, and then it's like 10 minutes against Brighton. We're not talking Real Madrid or Champions League sides. Brighton struggling. Right. If you're anything about you as a defender, right? This is my time now. We've been on the front foot for all the game, which we was. It was us attacking them. Right now, we're going to have to defend. Let's bring it on, and we absolutely capitulate. You know what I mean? The first goal is embarrassing, and I'm going to have to say this. This is not a criticism of Mikel Arteta, but I'm looking at him now, and I am worrying. One, I'm worrying. The first thing I'm worrying about is that he's trying to get David Luiz signed up. You know what I mean? He wants him signed up. Now, has he not watched him over the last 3 months? Mistakes. He's still not learning, but he still wants to give him another contract of over $1 million or whatever a season. You know what I mean? That worries me. Worries me for 2 reasons. Maybe that he thinks I ain't going to get no money, so I need somebody. And that even panics me even more, right? On the game on Saturday, I'm looking at it like, and it's got to be said, Harry said it, I've said it as well. Mikel Arteta is going to make, and let's get this right, he's going to make loads and loads of mistakes because he's learning on the job, right? Arsene Wenger and George Graham, our 2 best managers, learnt their trade at other clubs, Monaco or Grand State. George Graham made his mistakes at Millwall so that when he came to Arsenal, he didn't make them. We have got Mikel Arteta making mistakes on the job because Arsenal have given him that job. Why? You know what I mean? Like, why? You know what I mean? Because they can continually keep messing up. Now, we had the experience of Emery, but he messed up. Now I look at Mikel Arteta and I think to myself, right, let's go with the team. The first question for me is, where is Martinelli? Why is he not playing? He's quick enough to come out and say about Ozil, why he's not playing, why tactical reasons and that. I want to know why Martinelli, who is the second top scorer behind Aubameyang, who replaced Aubameyang we didn't miss, why is he not playing in this team? Why has he not even got, with 10 substitutions available, why has he not gotten on? Right? That's the first thing I want to ask him. Right, so mistake after mistake with the teams going on, right? And then I look at the game and I've had another look at it to my peril. I've had another look at it, Now in this game, Bellerin is getting absolutely roasted down the right-hand side. We're 1-0 up. What does he do, Mikel Arteta? Shore it up. Bring in someone like Maitland-Niles to sit in front of Bellerin to not stop them getting in there. No, he lets it continue. Then when it goes 1-1, oh, right, let's bring on the big guns. Oh, no, what's he do? He brings on Willock and Tierney, whatever his name is. Like, you know what I mean? He's not really getting in. You know, it's very, very hard for a defender. When I've ever played or coached or whatever, never, ever disrupt your back four under no circumstances unless you have to, right? And he's bringing on a left back, you know, and it's just, and to the end of it, I just don't understand why he's done that. And so he's, you know, he is a manager that is going to make mistakes, and yes, I think we're going to have to accept that, you know. But the mistakes are happening now when we could have actually got ourselves into the Champions League still. I know Dan's right what he's saying. None of us believe we could get there, but there was an opportunity. If we'd have won on Saturday, 3 points, we'd have been in a much better position. You know, I look at the team. You know, everybody's been crying out for Lacazette. I certainly haven't, because he just misses too many chances. You know, and I think to myself, oh, right, you know, and people have been saying, oh, right, yeah, Lacazette, we're giving Eddie a chance. That's all right. But realistically, our best player who's had, I think, 6 kicks at the game is Aubameyang. Now, Aubameyang is not the best at holding the ball, right? He's not the best at holding the ball, but I'll tell you what he is the best at, is finishing. Now, all the chances in this team are going to other men except him. All the chances on Saturday went to Lacazette. The chances that went to Aubameyang, there was a little toe in at the end of it all like that. So Eddie had a couple of chances against Man City. Aubameyang's getting none of them. Give your best striker the best opportunities to score goals. And that is down the middle, and you get players in and around him, like, you know. Now, Pepe, for instance, right, for the game, was absolutely fantastic for the goal, but he done nothing else in the game. When is he going to go past the player and go like he cuts inside? It all looks good, but we haven't got that cutting edge when you get past someone whipping across, you know. Now, Aubameyang had shots on Saturday. He had shots, but he was like, you know, blocks off and all that, like, you know. What I want is, what you want with Aubameyang is not just when he's getting crowded out. You want him to have shots when he's one-on-one. Now, when he's got to cut inside, give him the ball over the top when he's got the goals in front of him. Not when he's got on the right-hand side or the left-hand side when he's got to cut in through traffic. Then he has a shot, then it gets blocked. When you're in the middle, once that ball is carved over the top, you are in front of the goalkeeper. There's no one else in front of you. The fact of the matter is, he's out on the left-hand side. So time he cuts in, and as he's shot, there's someone in there to defend it all the time, like, you know. And the trouble is, I just don't think at this moment in time, Mikel Arteta knows what his best team is as well. You know, and, you know, the midfield, by the way, is an absolute disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. I agree with what Harry's saying about Xhaka. We can all criticise him on that. He is the best of a bad bunch. Let's not get away from the facts, you know what I mean? Like, he is the best of what is not very, very good. I watched Ceballos the other day. Come on, you know, you might as well send him back to Spain. Because, you know, he's not getting in. I watched him 5-6 before lockdown. He was getting stuck in. He was making tackles. He's doing none of that now. He's doing none of it. You know, Guendouzi showed more fight after the game than on it.
Yeah,
during it, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you know, I don't want to see that. You know, get up to him when he's done the thing and happen. And, you know, I think Harry said it as well. You know what I mean? It was annoying. It was annoying that we was at 1-1. Does it really matter? Is the point? It's even worse. But the biggest blow for us is, you know, Leno. Now, we've lost him for a year. And as far as I'm concerned now, he'll never, ever be the same. If you look at the last few that have had ACL injuries. Look at Bellerin. God, you know, he's not a championship player now, let alone a Premier League player. You know what I mean? Like Holding, you know what I mean? All these players have had this injury, never come back the same. Got to be ruthless and start looking for another goalkeeper now. And that's my opinion. And I just feel that. Go on.
No, I just wanted to comment on the Aubameyang thing, because I'm not Lacazette's biggest fan at the minute. I think you're absolutely right that he misses a lot of chances and all this. But I do think there is some benefit to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang playing from the left, because he's never marked by the centre-backs. He does drift into that half space. And if you look at the stats, and I pulled this up while you were talking, just because I wanted to double check before I went off on one about it. When he's played centre forward 14 times for Arsenal this season, and he scored 7 goals. He's played from the left wing 10 times, and he scored 7 goals. So he's just as productive from the left wing as a position, because when
but my argument
makes
to
that
that
run
is,
inside,
my argument to that is that's fair, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing if you've got a centre forward like who's banging in goals. But the reason that Martinelli is being left out of this side is because Aubameyang's playing down the left hand side. You know what I mean? Or Saka's playing down there, or whatever. I'll play Saka in the middle. But that's what I would do. But what I'm saying is Martinelli is being left out of this side for Eddie and Lacazette.
yeah,
right? Because what's happening is that's what I'm saying. So put Aubameyang in the middle and get your best players playing. And we're not getting our best players playing. Look, listen, if we've signed, a centre forward and like Eddie's coming in, or even Lacazette coming and what he's done, banged in 2 goals, you can say, yeah, there is a case for Aubameyang playing out on the left-hand side. The fact of the matter is that the chances are falling to them 2 guys and they're missing them. We missed enough chances on Aubameyang should have had, Lacazette should have had 2 goals on Friday, as far as I'm concerned. First couple of minutes, he's through. The touch was poor and allowing the defender to come back. I'm saying with Aubameyang in there, he would score that. It's not about Aubameyang playing on the left and scoring goals. It's about what I'm saying is because he's playing in it there, we are stopping a kid who excites me more as for the first time since Nicolas Anelka, a teenager, and he's not playing. And I'm watching Eddie play, or I'm watching Lacazette play, who are not good enough. So my argument is, yes, Aubameyang can score goals out there. Yes, he can do the job there. But what I'm saying, gets him in the middle, and that gets Martinelli in the team. If that's all I'm saying.
It's round.
Yeah, sorry, Craig, just 1 second.
Go for it.
Richard says in the chat he scored more than 14 goals. He has. The other 3 came on the right wing. That's why I only mentioned the 14, because they were on the left wing and centre forward, which is what we were talking about. Yeah.
So what Richard's saying that and everybody else that you're going to put Lacazette out wide on the left. Who are you playing in the middle then? Who are we playing centre forward in this team?
Well, how many times has he played on the right wing, Harry, and got 3 goals? That could be his best position.
Just 3 times.
Oh, there you go. Goal a game, Lee. Goal a game. Stick him on the right.
Yeah. Put him on the right then. But who are you going to put down? Who are you going to put in this centre forward role that's going to score us goals?
Has to be Aubameyang. There's no other choice for us.
We've talked about a year. This conversation's been going on for years about round pegs in round holes. Why is it that every Arsenal manager has to try and put a round peg into a square one? Aubameyang should be playing centre forward. He's wasted down on the left. I take Harry's stats into consideration, but I totally agree with Lee. If those chances would have fallen to Aubameyang at centre forward, we'd have won that game, and we'd all be talking. We'd all be sitting here talking about.
He misses chances, by the way. He does. By the way, he ain't like.
Look at the one in the Europa League that he missed. Could have sent us through, didn't it? I mean, what was he, 6 yards out? And he's put it wide. But they all missed. But if one of them players have got to go, for me, it's Lacazette. I would let Lacazette go. He hasn't impressed me at all.
I agree. I agree that Aubameyang, in my opinion, should play through the middle. I'm just highlighting why the manager obviously thinks that it's acceptable to leave him there. And, we can't rule out that maybe Martinelli had something to do with this COVID-19 thing.
I was just about to say that.
We don't know. So that could be why he's been sort of left out in the cold as well. So maybe, I don't know.
I was told today that it was a false positive.
But then I'll play Saka out there, Aaron.
Yeah, it could do.
I mean, the young lad Saka has been a revelation. He's played left back, left wing, centre midfield. Goodness me, got a future England career there. I think Gareth Southgate would be very happy to have a player of his ability and where he can play him. The Bernd Leno situation. Very sad to see him go. Obviously, goalkeepers union and all that. that tackle that he put in. Well, I call it a tackle. Well, it wasn't really a tackle, was it? If you watch the Premier League, he didn't have to do it, right? He didn't have to do it. But if you watch the Premier League week in, week out, players are doing that all the time. They're jumping into the goalkeeper. And no one can deny that it doesn't happen, because it does. Did he do it with malice? I don't think so. He didn't have to do it, yes. For me, and I'll come to everyone's opinions on it, but this is my opinion. For me, he didn't need to do it, and it's an accident. It's just the way Leno's come down and landed. Leno could have jumped up to catch the ball and landed the same way without being pushed. Do you know? It's all, I don't know. But for me, we see it every week. I was a goalkeeper. People used to do it to me. Jump, I don't know. Dan, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I felt like, as much as I wanted to see the Arsenal players stick up for Leno, I didn't think Mopai intended to put Leno out for the season at all, if I'm honest with you. It was did encourage him to land awkwardly, but I don't believe that it was a real malicious thing. I think he's going to go for it. He's a striker. And as much as Leno's all day getting that, he's just tried to put something in. I didn't think it was that malicious. What I will say, though, is it's probably the worst player that could have got injured, in my opinion, worse than Aubameyang, because Leno, for me, is the first name on the team sheet. He's been, without a doubt, our best player for the last 2 seasons, definitely ahead of Aubameyang, in my opinion. And the reason I say that is because he's been more consistent than Aubameyang, and he's gone and done it away from... He went and did it on Wednesday night at the Etihad. I haven't seen Aubameyang turn up at the Etihad, but Leno has.
So I remember... sorry, Dan, I'll just come in. I remember getting laughed at by someone in a pair of glasses when I said that he'd be world class and that he'd be one of our best players. I remember getting laughed at.
Well, I would. Lee's taking them off now. I would agree. I would agree with you. I would agree with you totally, mate. And I honestly,
I can't believe you didn't spot he was a good goalkeeper all that time, Craig. I mean, right under your nose.
I honestly feel like we have got a really good goalkeeper here. I've always liked him. I can think of 4 mistakes he's made.
We did have.
I can think of, yeah, you're probably right, mate. I can think of 4 mistakes he's made. 1 against Southampton last season away, 1 against Wolves last season away, 1 against Olympiacos this season, which I actually point Xhaka at blame as much as Leno, but there we go. And of course, when he dropped the ball against Chelsea at home and Jorginho tapped it in. 4 mistakes. David De Gea has made 4 or 5 mistakes just this season, and we're not even done with this season yet. So I look at that and I think, apart from Ederson and Alisson, I'd probably have Leno up there ahead of De Gea right now, and he's definitely better than Kepa and Lloris and all the others. So I think we've got a fantastic goalkeeper. The problem is now, Craig, is what do we do? Emi Martinez has actually been at Arsenal since 2011, 2012. He is 28 years old. This is not a young goalkeeper that is not unproven. He has not made it at Reading, or he's not made it in the Championship. This guy is not ready. Having him for the rest of the season just confirms what I already knew, was we are going to finish out of Europe now, because our defence and our goalkeeper are so weak. Look how many times Leno got us out of trouble the whole of this season. Martinez, it ain't the same. He's okay with his feet. He's quite a good shot stopper. He's got great reflexes. Coming from crosses, you heard it here first. It is so embarrassingly cringy to watch him catch a ball from a cross. He's poor. We need to look at trying to do something in the transfer market. I spoke to Lee earlier and we were talking about maybe going in for somebody. I mean, Nick Pope would be a good option. Dean Henderson would be a good option. We'll probably end up getting Joe Hart because he's the free transfer that's going to be in the next few days. You heard it here first.
I'm going to stick up for Martinez. I think he deserves his chance. At 28 years old, I think he's been a good loyal servant to this club. And I'm going to play a bit of devil advocate there to what you said about him at Reading. I've actually got a couple of mates who support Reading, and they were absolutely gutted when he left, because they said they've never seen such a commanding goalkeeper. Now, okay, it was in the Championship. It's a different level. But they were actually gutted that he left. And I remember watching I used to watch that Division 1 show on...
They can have him back if they want.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, I remember watching... I used to watch the Championship highlight show on whatever channel it was on, and he pulled off some outstanding saves while he was on loan at Reading, I have to say. But I think he deserves his chance. Do we go into the transfer market for a keeper? I'm not too sure. Do we promote Matt Macy into number 2? It's again a very talented goalkeeper that's been applauded while been on loan. Is it about time, Mark, that we have to start looking at? I mean, everyone's saying about this self-sustaining model and we ain't got no money in this and all this and that. If that's true, Mark, then Matt Macy has to be promoted and we're going to have to stick with Martinez.
Yeah, that is. This is the last thing we needed, wasn't it? To have to go into the market to replace a goalkeeper. That was the one, that was the one place that we thought was going to be set for the next 5 years. We know he's only out for 9 months, as being reported. As Lee says, quite rightly, will he come back the same? We don't know. We doubt it. I mean, he hasn't got to do the blistering runs up and down the pitch like Bellerin used to do and now can't, and so therefore he's useless to us. He hasn't got to do that. He's just got to react and reflect, but more and more goalkeepers are playing with their feet. So if his knee doesn't recover properly, is he going to be the same at distribution with the ball? Probably not. So this is the last thing Arsenal needed. And listen, there's absolutely no way this summer Arsenal are going to go and sign a goalkeeper of any sort of standing. They are going to go and sign a centre-half of some value, like we're all dreaming of Upamecano. And I think, we are all dreaming that we could have somebody like that back in our team to play alongside Saliba, who's coming, If you think you're going to replace the 2 centre midfielders and we're going to get, it's not going to happen, guys. We need a new right back. We're in an absolute mess. And in all my life, and I turned 40 years old not so long ago, this is the worst position Arsenal have ever been in. And do not underestimate the scale of the job in hand here, because it is, you could almost throw the whole lot out and say they're not good enough. And so Leno was the only one with the youth, Saka, Martinelli, blah, 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 that we would have said stay. But I just don't know what to say. The only other thing I will add to that is that Martinez, if he's 28 years old and he hasn't been good enough to force some starts in the cup and things like that already, then he's clearly not good enough for the football club.
Exactly my point.
He's got 9 games now to play till the end of the season. If it's still 9 or 7, please let it be 7, not 9, till the end of the season. And he has got to prove to Arteta that he's good enough to be a goalkeeper. Sadly, I think he's going to prove to us all that he belongs at Reading.
The problem is, Harry, I'll come to you. The problem is, if we are proven that he's not good enough, what then?
This is the thing, isn't it? We knew that Arsenal were going to have a limited transfer spend this summer, and now we've got to make it stretch even further to get a goalkeeper as well. So it's a big, big problem. The Leno injury really pissed me off, and I was really fuming about it, because people will sit there and they'll say, oh, Neil Maupay didn't do it on purpose. He didn't. I don't believe that Neil Maupay had the intention of jumping up to do Leno to make sure that Leno's out for 8-9 months, whatever it's going to be. But what I will say is this: I blame Martin Atkinson and the Premier League officials that have let this kind of shit go for years and years and years. And this is why the Messis and the old Ronaldo and all these great players will never set foot in this country because of crap like that. We've had Bernd Leno barged into, right? Falls on his leg, does it in, he's out for 8-9 months. We've had Matteo Debuchy done in the air by Marko Arnautovic. We've had Alexis Sanchez thrown into a flipping camera pit next to the side of the pitch. And this all stems from referees allowing the likes of Brighton to push the boundaries of what's acceptable in football by making disgusting challenges from the off. How the hell did that Bissouma not pick up a yellow card on Saturday? He was allowed to do that from the start of the game, and the referee sets a precedent of what is allowed. And these teams, they know that they can't play us at football, so they push the boundaries and they play right on the edge of what they're allowed to do in order to try and intimidate us. Neil Maupay wasn't trying to rule Leno out for 9 months, but he was trying to intimidate him. He was trying to get him to carry the ball out of the penalty area, and he knew he could get away with it because the referee was allowing all sorts to go on before that. And that's what pisses me off about this thing. How many times are we going to lose key players because referees just don't get their cards out and don't set the law from the very beginning of the game? You don't see that anywhere else in Europe. You genuinely don't.
Do you think so? Don't. Do you think if it had been anywhere else in Europe, he'd have got a red card?
I don't think he would have got a red card. I think because of the way you're allowing these teams, and we've had it done to us for years and years and years. Remember, Bolton used to do it to us. Then Stoke used to do it to us. If the referee doesn't protect these players from the beginning of the game, then footballers get hurt and the thugs win, and that seems to happen.
Harry, you have got to protect yourself. Like, you know, nobody would have dared steam into Peter Schmeichel like that because he would have flattened them with his knee. You know, people used to run at Mark Bosnich. I can remember him laying someone flat out because he kneed them in the face when they tried to challenge him for the ball. You know, this is the problem with Arsenal. They are weak.
They're weak. They're weak, but they are weak. But you can't turn somebody into an animal. You can't, like somebody like Roy.
No, but you don't. No, don't buy them. But don't buy them.
Yeah, but
winning mentality, Harry. Winning mentality. Winners are not weak. No, I agree. But Lionel Messi gives as good as he gets. You know what I mean? He don't take it laying down.
Yeah, but if you chop Lionel Messi down, you're going to get booked within 5 minutes, and you can't do it again.
True.
You wouldn't get away with it time and time again in other leagues, and that's my point.
And you got to catch him first as well. Yeah, by the way.
But this all comes right from pundits, from journalists, from people bigging up this mentality of, oh, how do we beat Arsenal? Well, nobody's interested in playing Arsenal at football. All they're interested in is getting in our faces, roughing us up. That's the bullshit mentality that we have to deal with time and time again. Focus on playing football the right way. Improve yourselves tactically, technically, and then England might win a World Cup as well.
There's no need for that, Harry. No need for that. Listen, Lee.
What will you say about that?
Lee, sorry, Lee. Sorry, just before I come to you, we have had a donation question from Steve. Thank you very much, Steve, for your kind donation. A McChicken sandwich meal, Lee. Enough for.
Players lovely. Can get them out. You can get them out.
Players who failed under four.
I just want to say.
One second. I'm going to read out his question. Players who.
I'm on the screen.
Yeah, that's the. I don't know why it's on the screen, but if you listen, I'll read it out to you. Players who failed under four managers now never lose their places. David Lewis will probably come straight back into the team after his suspension. It's a good point. Players who have failed under four managers.
Excellent point. You know what I mean? Like, I do believe that it's not just the managers that have got to take the blame. These players ain't good enough. We know that, like, you know what I mean? And he's right. David Luiz will walk straight back in the team, whether it be centre half or midfield. He'll come straight back into the team. And you know, as you say, this happens a lot. It does seem, you know, like with Emery played him. You know, I can't understand why, but there you go. I just want to quickly go on to this point about what Harry was saying. And the fact of the matter is, yes, Arsenal, like the midfield player was kicking around and all that. Why I get a little bit what Harry's saying. If it was put on the other foot and Guendouzi was doing that, Atkinson would have booked him after the second one. No two ways about it. It wouldn't. There's a cut off with Arsenal like Bosch. You know what I mean? One second when it goes. He was allowed to do things like what he wanted to do all the time. And I don't think it, you know, listen, if I was playing against Arsenal and I'm allowed to go around kicking people, I am going to do it for as long as I can until the referee tells me that I can't. And that's the difference, you know what I mean? So the referee should have picked up on it a lot earlier, like, you know. But, you know, going back to the thing is, I think Emery, like, you know, with Emery, I'm going to go on to that, like, you know, about that. I don't think when it comes to the summer, he was backed by the board. He wanted certain players and he didn't get them, and because he didn't get them, look what happened. I know that Harry didn't rate him, and there was lots of things going wrong with him, but you know, you're only as good as your players, Craig. You know what I mean? You know, you can. Don't matter who you are. You've got to have the right players. You know, Pep Guardiola is a very, very good coach, very, very good coach, but he does have some bloody good players, and it does help.
It does help,
You know,
it does help.
It does. Let me just bring this.
Of course it helps.
I'll just bring this one in here as
We've
well.
got another usual guy, that's it.
Thank you very much for your kind donation, Bill. Hello to you, and thanks for. It's lovely to see all the.
Couldn't agree with Bill more.
Lovely to see the old faces. Time not to look abroad for signings. We need to look at the Championship for proper English players with a graft mentality. Good to see the band back. Thank you very much, Bill. That is a bloody good point.
They don't have to be English, though, Bill.
No, they don't.
As long as they've got the right mentality, I'm not bothered where they come from. You know, as long as they want to fight for the shirt, they can come.
I said I put a tweet out yesterday. It's not superstars we need. It's people who want to play for the Arsenal. That's what we need. It's not the superstars.
Yeah.
I totally, you know, Aubameyang knows he's going. We can sit here and slag Aubameyang off all we want for missing chances or not putting enough effort. He knows he's going. He's not playing like a player who wants to be at Arsenal, is he?
And do you blame him, Craig? Do you blame him?
No, I don't. I don't blame him, Lee. But what I'm saying is, I want players who want to be here. Lacazette, does he really look like he wants to be here? No, not if you ask me. And another one who doesn't look like he wants to be here either is Pepe.
Here's another thing, though, Craig. Let me just throw this out and see what you lot think.
Yeah.
Is it possible that some of these players have lost respect for the club? I heard this on the Arsecast today, and it was a good point, and it made me think. I think one of the listeners sent it in as a question. Arsenal was so quick to push through this pay cut. Arsenal were, you know, the way they went about it, they got the head coach involved. They made this big hoo-ha about it. And some of the teams at the bottom of the league haven't even enforced pay cuts. So is it possible that some of them are fed up with the club as well? And that's affecting stuff. You know, you don't know.
Fantastic point. I'm fed up with the club and I love it.
Yeah.
Fed up with it. I'm fed up with the way it's run.
I'll take that into consideration, Harry, right? But they were talking about, 10% pay cut, yeah? So Mercer Ozil, I'm only using Mercer Ozil because I only saw these figures, right? Mercer Ozil getting paid 350 grand a week. If he'd have taken that pay cut, he gets paid 305 grand a week. That's no reason to lose respect for the club.
Well, it is if his mortgage is 340 grand a week, Craig.
It is, I suppose. But I can't see how a professional footballer is losing respect for the club because he's been asked to take a pay cut. But then that's just me. We
all live to our means, though, don't we? We've had this chat, haven't we? You know, we've said like everybody, no matter how much you earn, you spend what you earn. So these players have got other responsibilities. They're building villages, they're building hospitals. They've committed to financial commitments. So it's not as easy to just say, you know, if someone came to you tomorrow, and I know it's happened to you, Craig. Someone came to you tomorrow, everyone, and said, "Sorry, things are a bit tight. I'm taking 10% of your wages each week." We'd all have to do some serious thinking, wouldn't we? Do you know what I mean?
We would. I mean, it's got to be easier for a footballer to take a 10% pay cut, isn't it?
No, but you say that, but we get, you know, I will do my job, all being well, health permitted, for 40 years. They will do theirs for 10. And they might only get one contract. Yeah. Let's face it, Mesut Ozil is not going to get 350 grand a week next contract, is he? So it's only once in a lifetime.
I'm just going to cut you in there, mate. I want to come in here. Unite79, thank you very much for your donation question, mate. A very kind donation. Our club is in a mess and it will take a long time to rectify things unless we have a miracle season like Leeds and Blackburn did back in the 90s and Leicester did in recent times. The club is not with this team. Absolutely not. I'm very worried about the future, Dan. I don't know about you. People are telling me, "Oh, you're worried too much." This, that, and the other. What I'm seeing in front of what is going on at my football club. I'm very worried. Very worried.
Oh, extremely. I am as well, mate. And, I get told the same. That I've said negative stuff. And it's just the way that I feel. There's nothing for me to be positive about at the moment, boys. There's nothing for me to look at and be positive. I look at some of the young players and I think they look great. Yeah. But they're learning off of absolute clowns. We've got a young manager, which now everybody seems to want out. I'm fed up of this manager out, manager not good enough. We've had it with Wenger, Emery, Freddie Ljungberg's not ready. Now Arteta's not the man and he's learning. We can't have a manager who's learning. He's got to go now. And I'm like, come on, when are we going to wake up and realise that this team are dog shit? When are we going to wake up and realise that we've got two fullbacks that are absolute pants, right? I get ripped for slating Kolasinac. Worst player on the pitch on Saturday was him, Bellerin and Ceballos. All three of those wasters needed to just be dropped completely. I'm allowed to make 5 subs. That would be my first 3 changes. They were absolutely terrible. Yeah, Kolasinac has never been good enough. He needs to go. We've got so many players that need to leave from this club, and that worries me because we need to sell before we can buy. And trying to get rid of these players has proven to be very, very hard because they're on ridiculous wages from the previous regime. Now, we look at the previous regime. I don't think it's any better to the current regime. We've got signings coming in like Lichtsteiner and Denis Suarez and Cedric, who has not been fit. He's had 6 months at Arsenal and still hasn't kicked a ball because he's not fit. Pablo Mari, who we're now signing because he's injured. We've got players. I can think of Leno, who's been exceptional, right? That's about it, really. Yeah, because Torreira's homesick. Some of these other players that haven't settled in. Pepe, I'm going to give another season. Just for I've seen people comment on Pepe at the moment. I personally will give Pepe another season, and here's the reason why. He's 25 years old just. He's tried to settle into a team from France with a massive, heavy transfer fee weight on his shoulders. He's played under 3 different managers with different players every week. Every single time he plays with that idiot at number 10, he drags players over to him for him to then say, go on, fella, you get past 3 of them. I'm going to give Pepe time, right? I'm going to give Pepe time, and I'm going to give the manager time. I'm going to give Mikel Arteta until the summer of 2021. I've tapped out until then. I will start to look at where we're at in the summer of 2021. Why? Because these players will be gone. They will be gone. We have not got to hang on to Ozil, Mustafi, Luiz, Socrates, Xhaka, all these absolute bang average players, El Neni, Mkhitaryan, the list goes on. We need to be understanding that this is going to take 5, 6, maybe even 7 years with lots of transfer windows to get reinforcements for this team. And we're going to be hit with the fact that we cannot attract big players. Upamecano, Partey, forget them. They ain't going to come to Arsenal, right? They are just not. We're not going to be able to go and get the likes of Jack Grealish. We're not going to. It's just not going to happen. I've accepted that. Yeah. I want to see it. I've accepted it's not going to. When are the fan base going to unite? When are the fan? No, just let me finish. Just let me finish this 1 second, and then we'll go into the Jack Grealish thing because I've got something I want to say about that. When it comes to it, when are the fan base going to unite to get the people out at the top? Because I'm fed up of saying Wenger out, Emery out, Arteta out. I want Kroenke out. I want Raul out. I want Vinay gone. What are they doing? I do not understand it. Kroenke doesn't care. Kroenke's the leader at the top. Kroenke should be the one saying, do you know what? The recruitment, what's happened the last 10 years of recruitment? I'm going to refresh the people getting the players in because, my God, they've been poor. No, doesn't happen. All we see is the same old, I don't care. He's got no ambition. Until that guy goes, we will not move forward. Until the people in the recruitment team are questioned about not doing their job, we won't move forward. And why won't we sign Jack Grealish? Because why was he want to come to Arsenal now, Lee, when he's looking at this shambles? When Chelsea could go in for him, Liverpool, City, United, these players are Tottenham even, yeah? We're turned into a Tottenham. That's what Arsenal have done. They're not going to look at us now and go, I tell you what, I fancy going and playing in the middle with Granit Xhaka. That'd be absolutely brilliant. I don't want to play with Henderson and Milner and Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain. I'll go and sit next to Granit Xhaka and I'll be one of the best players at Arsenal. No one's going to want to do that, mate. They're not going to want to do that, unfortunately, now. We need an Upamecano, a Partey, a Jack Grealish. Of course we do. I'd love to see it happen. I do not see it. And I'll tell you what, I would not be surprised if Joe Hart, Chris Smalling, and somebody like Joe Allen come to Arsenal over Jack Grealish, Upamecano, because that's where we're at. That is where we are. We are not a big club anymore. And I hate saying it, but it's the truth, man.
Is it not possible that we are slightly, considering before the break, yeah, we knew that changes needed to be made and we knew that we needed to improve, but we weren't this downbeat, right? So is it possible that we're overreacting about a couple of results in a time that is very strange, where teams are coming back after 3 months off? I mean, you look at Chris Wilder's Sheffield United. I know they were unlucky with the Villa game, but they've lost 2 on a trot now.
Yeah, but Harry, this was happening before the lockdown, though, Harry.
I don't
Sorry,
think
they
we're.
drop points, and then there's a downbeat mood. What I'm saying is, are we just going like OTT like Arsenal fans?
No,
do,
Harry,
because we've dropped a few points when we weren't that good in the first place.
The proof's in the pudding, Harry. This was happening before lockdown, bro. You know this. This has been long time now. How many times have we seen these players let us down? They did it in Baku. They did it the other month against Olympiacos. These players were learning off of players that were 4-0 up against Newcastle and messed it up. That went to Old Trafford and lost 8-2. That lost 5-3, 6-1, 6-3 at Chelsea and Liverpool. They were all learning off of that. What I worry about now is
how many of the current players were in that 8-2 team? You always mention that. But how many players?
No, but Harry, you didn't listen. None of them are. Who they were learning off of. Who they were learning off of were players that were in that side and learn off of people that were in that side. It's a culture thing. This is why the mentality is so weak at the moment, because we have got players that were learning and looking up to role models like Philippe Senderos and Denilson. We need to be having people that we're looking up to Henry and Bergkamp, like Fabregas and Van Persie. Look at the people that we've got in this side. They're so bad and no one sees it. This is not the manager. This is the players, and it is much more than that in terms of the recruitment, which has been piss poor for 10, 15 years. Raul has not done his job, and Kroenke does not care. And that's why I'm worried, Craig, and that's why I brought it up, because it does worry me in the future.
Like Harry's just said there about bringing up those results, I would bring up those results all the time, because it's
why though, Craig? It's the past. You can't attribute a result 10 years ago to the squad they're playing now.
It might be the past, but it's become the norm. All right, it's become the norm. Since those bad results, we haven't done nothing. We haven't done nothing for 4 years. All right, we've won a few FA Cups. Hold my hands up, lovely. Always nice to see our team win a cup. But what have we done in the league and in Europe except roll over and take it?
No,
we've not addressed the problems, Craig. We've never addressed the problems. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Exactly. And it's become the norm. And it's become the norm.
Yeah.
And we're still making money while it's been the norm, and no one cares.
No, that's right.
I see what you guys are saying. I see what Harry's saying as well. The results that are there. The results have been there. Like when you lose 8-2, right? That's a kick in the old teeth to say, right, we need to sort something out, right? It wasn't sorted out because weeks later it was a 6-1 and it's continually care. The reason that these continually keep happening because they've not addressed the problem. That we've not addressed the problem is that since going back to Sol Campbell and Toure, we have not had a back partnership that other teams would say, yes, I'll take. Now, since all of this has gone on, name the best centre half that we've had since the Emirates.
Koscielny, probably.
I mean, Koscielny, Vermaelen, are they as good as what? They're not as. No one of them would be biting your hands off to take them. Koscielny was at this club for 10 years because no one was like, going to go in there and get him. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Like, Vermaelen unfortunately got injured. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I think he would have been a great player for us. You know what I mean? It just seems to me a little bit annoying that every time we get a decent player, they get injured for a long while. We've had that time and time again. I feel that we did address the Vieira thing with Diaby, but then Diaby got himself injured, never the same. We got Eduardo in, great player he was, and then he's gone and got injured. Aaron Ramsey, who I think would have been the best player in Europe if he wasn't injured, because as good as he was for Arsenal, he lost a yard of pace through that injury that he got. He was never quite the same. And it's been a continuous thing. But we have got, I think that our best central defensive partnership, at the back of my head, since since we've been at the Emirates was probably Koscielny and Mertesacker, and two players that I didn't rate at all. They're not going to win you titles. You know what I mean? Like, and then that's where we're at. Until Arsenal address that problem of getting in two fantastic central defenders and a partnership, Arsenal will buckle. They will buckle, because even on Saturday, if you've got a right back and you get down by the right back, the central defender comes across, bang, and takes it out. But we've got a central defender that comes across and hesitates. Player goes round him and they score, because we've not got that sort of thing. You know, I had a real good conversation with Russ last night. You know, he like Russ, who's a massive Arsenal fan, come up and said, you know, the recruitment, it ain't just about buying players. The players we sold. Now, people will say, you know, Theo Walcott was mentioned. What does he give us that we haven't got now? He gives us pace and balance on the right hand side that we've not had since he's left. So it's all right saying let these players go. Yeah, get rid of the Walcotts, get rid of these players. But then you've got to replace them with better. We've not replaced Theo Walcott. We've not replaced him with something that we needed. You know what I mean? With Walcott, he give us pace and he give us an outlet. We haven't got that now. You know, and it's and you know, it's a fantastic point that he put up there.
I think,
you know, Theo Walcott sometimes was getting to the Arsenal team easily.
How does it make you feel, right? How does it make you feel to watch letting Szczesny go and then benching Alisson, right? And getting in the Juventus team? How does it feel? How does it make you feel to watch Serge Gnabry go to Spurs and absolutely destroy them in a Champions League game? How does it make you feel that Aaron Ramsey was let go for free? Like, that's three players that could still be here. I mean, imagine if we had still had Serge Gnabry.
Yeah, we have weakened ourselves. We've weakened ourselves by letting even the likes of Theo Walcott go, Aaron Ramsey, even Petr Cech to a degree. I know he was retiring and all that, but you've lost a good second choice goalkeeper, and now we're stuck and we've got Martinez. So, you know, we're constantly weakening ourselves. My only point about all of that was I totally get that the mentality around the club has been wrong for years and years and years. But at some point, you have to draw a line under things. If somebody comes and buys Lee's shop off of him and it's crap, no offense, Lee, it's just an example, then that's not that person's fault, is it? You can't every player that walks in the door.
How dare you?
You can't throw every player that walks in the door now and say, oh, yeah, but we lost 8-2. Mate, it's a new line drawn underneath it. The club has got a lot to answer to, but you can't keep blaming players that weren't even at the club for results that happened in the past.
No, he's not blaming the. He's not.
No, he's not. He's not blaming the players, but
mentality.
But you can't.
Mentality.
But that's nonsense, because a new player does that. A new player that didn't experience that 8-2 defeat doesn't have that in his head. That's the club.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something.
One second.
I agree with you. Aaron,
one second, Lee. There's players there now that have just experienced losing to Brighton twice. Now, that's as bad as an 8-2, if you ask me. We've given 6 points. It is. We've given 6 points to a team who are fighting relegation. We're supposed to be the Arsenal. Yeah. We're supposed to be the Arsenal. We're giving 6 points to Brighton.
This is a point, right? And this is what worries me, like, also about mentality and about players, right? If you see a player, right, as a young kid, I'm a young defender or someone coming into the team, right, and I'm on the bench or I'm in the squad, and I see David Luiz against Chelsea, against Liverpool, pull back a player, give away a penalty and cost you a game, and then the next week he's back in the team, and then I see him do it again against Chelsea, and he's back in the team, and then I see him do it against Manchester City, and he's straight back in the team. What does that message send out? That sends out, well, I can do that, and that sends out the wrong message.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
right.
Like, that is what I'm saying. Like, that is what I'm saying. You've got to turn around and say, no, send out the proper message. You keep making mistakes, you're going to get knocked out of the team. Now, you can go back to what George Graham says. You know what I mean? I see like Kevin's in the chat. You can go like to where George Graham at. You made mistakes. You was bombarded out of the team, not spoken to for weeks and months. You know what I mean? Like, whether that's right or whether it's wrong, what it does is gives you the mentality to be tough, that you ain't going to make those mistakes. But these players from the 8-2 to now are still making the same mistakes, and they're still putting on this fucking shirt, right?
That's exactly my
point. And you've
point.
got a manager saying, you've got a manager turning around and saying, "I'll tell you what, I want you to stay here." You know, it's not the standards of this football club have dropped and dropped and dropped, and they've been allowed to be dropped. Stop it and stop it at the source. And that's the manager saying, right, no, David Luiz, that's the lot. That's you gone. Mesut Ozil keeps doing what he's doing. See you later. So anybody, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't mess. And don't tell me about, it's all changed, like when it was like George Graham's had a ruthlessness and all that, like, you know what I mean? Don't you think that Jurgen Klopp, if someone ain't doing a business, he'll get rid? Of course he will. Same as Guardiola will do it, you know what I mean? And I'll tell you what, I watched Everton yesterday. They're not great stuff, but what I see was a defensive organisation of a shape. And I'll tell you what, if they didn't do the job, they'd be gone. Be gone. You know what I mean? We allow all this to go on. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry, you know what I mean? You're talking a central defender that continues to make mistake after mistake after mistake. The next game, he's bang on with his shirt. He's probably had the armband at one time. And that is why we continue to keep making mistakes at the back, because it's accepted. And it ain't going to be accepted but from me no more as a fan. I don't want David Luiz anywhere near my football club again. Not because of the mistake he made against Man City. It's because he continues to keep doing it and taking the piss out of me as a fan. And I've had enough of it. And I've had enough of this shoddy defending from now on. And it started whenever it started. And it's been allowed to continue. So you talk about Arsene Wenger. Arsene Wenger's 1,000th game was against that fucking Chelsea, against that fucking Mourinho, and what did his players turn up and do? Rolled over and fucking died at 6-0, and the next week they're all back there and still playing. And that is where the mentality of it has gone wrong. It's gone wrong. Arsene Wenger let it happen. Emery allowed it to happen, and so's Arteta. Someone's got to come along and say, no, it's not happening no more. And that's it.
There's 7 or 8 players there that need to be gone. And Harry says, we need to draw a line under it. That's the only time we're going to draw a line under it is when I don't see them in the team. They need to be gone over the next couple of transfer windows.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you need to keep giving players second chances. I'm saying that we keep talking about the mentality, and the only mentality that we should be looking at is the mentality of the squad that we have at our disposal now. The 8-2 team, there's not a single Arsenal player that was involved in that game that is still at the club. So are we going to beat up the current squad because the previous squad lost 8-2?
No,
what I'm saying is,
it's the mentality thing.
I agree with you that the mentality is wrong, but we've got a different manager, we've got a different backroom staff, we've got different people calling the shots at the club, and we've got different players. So argue about them now not being right and the standards need to be lifted, just like Judge said. That's absolutely right. But to keep referring back to games that had nothing to do with, I just don't see. I feel like that's just something that, when we're pissed off and we're angry about the way things are going at Arsenal Football Club now, we pull on those things because they hurt us as fans. But that doesn't hurt the players that weren't there. That's all I'm trying to say.
I get what you're saying, mate. But for me,
Craig, do you think the players are hurting like we are?
Of course they're not.
Do you think the players are hurting like we are?
No, of course not. Absolutely not. Because if they are, they're not showing it very well, are they? If I was hurting as a player, I would be doing my damnedest to make sure I was given 110%. But it's not happening.
90% I'd be giving. I'm only getting 90% of my wages.
All right, okay. Well, 90%, at least 90%. But I still respectfully...
That's a good point, Adrian. That's a good point.
Well, it is a good point, I suppose. But I still respectfully...
I like to chip in now and again, Lee.
I respect. Well, you keep dropping off. Right? I mean, I think you're doing some sport as well.
I had to go and get some more mango chutney from you.
You're only coming on to us when you've got Talk Sport adverts. I know what you're doing.
I had to go and get some more mango chutney for me cheese. I run out.
It's
true story.
I still respectfully disagree with Harry because it's become a mentality. While those results have happened, yes, it's embedded, and we're now a soft touch. And ever since then, we've become this big soft touch.
Who is it embedded in? People that are no longer
the club. The club.
What is the club? What is the club, Craig? It's people. What is the club? If
and it's
if you've
still
got a
happening.
different chairman, a different manager,
And it's
a
still
different
happening.
25 players.
And
Yeah,
it's
because
still
the team's,
happening.
because the team's not good enough. Nothing to do with what happened
Because
Do you know
11
what?
years ago at Old Trafford.
because Arsenal are a soft touch. No one is going to. No one with any clout, except when you offer them money, wants to come and play for Arsenal for this. All they want to come and play for Arsenal for is fucking money. We've got a fella playing in the middle of midfield. We've got a fella playing in the middle of midfield, getting paid 350 grand a week. I'm sorry to keep going on about it. 350 grand a week. He hasn't kicked a ball for 6 months. Why is he still here?
350
Get rid of him.
grand a week. I wouldn't leave. Would you?
The mentality at Arsenal is come and play for Arsenal. We'll give you all this money, but you ain't got to do much. Just turn up.
Harry makes a fantastic point about the culture, but what happens in football, right? It's like a relay. It's like a baton. The baton gets moved on. So one player comes in, he takes the baton, takes over. There's still, when he takes that baton, there's still DNA on that baton. There's still DNA on that baton. So every time that baton gets pulled to the next one, there's still DNA on it. And until you get rid of it, clean it, rinse it, you're still going to get that mentality because the player is passing it over, whether he comes into the side. And don't forget, these youth players, right, have all been there while this has all been going on when they were kids. It's been teachers and a kid, like, you know what I mean? Like, play. Don't worry about it. Play. You know what I mean? Get stuck in, like, you know what I mean?
Lee, can I just say that I can confirm that baton has been antibacterial wiped between
yes, I think
players.
Hopefully it has. It's certainly the
baton
defending is stuck. It's stuck like glue.
There's five Arsenal fans.
To sterilise.
There's 5 Arsenal fans sitting here now, right? Arsenal fans. 5 Arsenal fans sitting here now. We've seen some tremendous things in our lifetime. We've seen an unbeaten season. We've seen our team get to a Champions League final. We've seen our team knock out Real Madrid in their own ground. We've seen some amazing things. 5 Arsenal fans sitting here now. We're about to play Southampton away. Who reckons we can win?
Of course we can win. We might not, but we can win.
I don't think we can.
We definitely can.
If they get a player sent off in the first minute and the referee does their job.
I have no
Aubameyang?
confidence whatsoever. No confidence whatsoever that we are going to beat Southampton.
That's contributing to that mentality that you're all talking about. Because everyone's talking about saying how we're not winners.
Yeah,
he's right. He's right. But now, Harry, can you see how it fucking travels?
No, but it should look. Manchester City hadn't won fuck all ever. Had they even ever won the top flight division before they got the oil money in? So a mentality can be changed by bringing in the right people. A culture can be changed pretty quickly
by bringing in money.
The right people. A club is the people that are running that club, and it's the people that represent that club. That's the fans, the players, the manager, the board, the stewards, everybody. It's the people that are working there that provide that mentality.
Okay.
Arsenal is nothing. Arsenal is nothing. What is Arsenal? It's nothing. It's not an object. It's not. It's a group of people. It's a football club of people together. So if you get the right people in, you can change that. You can't say that it disappears. We've seen plenty of clubs not win anything for 30 odd years and then come out and look at Liverpool. They haven't ever won the Premier League, and then they went to 2 Champions League finals back to back, won the second one, and they've run away with a Premier League title this year. If you do the right things, you can turn a club that constantly bottle it for the last 10 odd years, and you can turn it around. That's all I'm saying. We can't keep holding on to this stigma of what happened before. Like, it's disappointing. It is part of our history, but we can't change the history, but we can change the future. So if we're going to keep sitting there going, oh yeah, but we ain't got the right DNA anymore, we ain't got the right people. No, it's not a mentality thing. It's get those players out because they're all shit and they're all not on the right fucking page, and bring people in that are on the right page. The mentality is in a person's head, not in a club's head. Bring the right people in, the mentality changes straight away. It's that simple. That's all I'm trying to say. And as a fan base, we are so Like, I'm not saying the panel on here, because we all have followed the club for years and we're all sensible fans, but the fan base as in general is so reactionary and so quick to jump on disaster, on crisis. You know, people calling for Mikel Arteta out. Are they mad?
Well,
Are they mad? But that's what we've reached.
Agreeing with you, Harry.
yeah, I agree
Blimey.
with you there. Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying there. Aaron. I agree. And I'll tell you what else it comes into it. And I expected us to beat Brighton. I went into that game thinking that we're going to, and expectation sometimes is more painful. So I'm going to go into that with dampened expectations against Southampton. So, because I think that's what's hurt me more. I didn't expect us to beat Man City. I didn't have a sleep.
My problem, Lee, was I went in with a 1-1 prediction, mate. I was being pessimistic at 1-1, apparently. I was bloody optimistic. We lost 2-1. I'm going to go 3-1 Southampton. I just do not see it. I just think we're going to get... Defensively, we are too poor to compete. We never do well there. They've got players on form, and Danny Ings, he's been scoring great this season, and I think he can do some damage to our defence. So I'm going to go 3-1 Southampton.
Yeah. I watched Southampton against Norwich, and I'm scared. Very, very scared. Who knows? We might turn up and beat them 5-0, but at this very moment, I'm very scared. Mark, what have you got to say about what we were talking about while you were going to get some more chutney?
I don't know, what was you talking about? I come back. I thought I'd gone into. I thought I'd gone into a time warp. Lee was banging on about missing Theo Walcott. I thought, fuck, what's happened here? And by the way, I think those words, that's the first time those words have ever been put together in a sentence. Missing Theo Walcott. I mean, that guy was, what a pile of dump that guy was. But anyway, so I don't know what you was talking about, but my chutney was fantastic.
Good. Well, I'm glad about that. I suppose we'll end it off with some predictions for the weekend. So, Dan, sorry, not the weekend. Thursday, is it?
Thursday is, yeah.
I don't know what day of the week it is anyway. Dan, what do you reckon?
Well, I think Arteta's going to have to rotate again on Thursday night, and I expect he's going to try and pick what he can and do what he can with this side. I would like to see Martinelli. I would like to see Saka. However, I don't think that that's going to be enough to get us 3 points. We haven't got a good record going over to Southampton. I know the fans aren't there and people are trying to say it's different, but I still don't think we've got enough. We're not on great form. Southampton have picked things up and Ralph's really got them going now. I would suggest that we're going to lose, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 loss, unfortunately.
Oh, blimey. Harry, what about you, mate?
I think it'll be interesting to see if Mikel Arteta prioritises the game on Sunday now, given sort of where we are in the league and all that stuff. That'd be interesting to see in his team selection. I think one of the biggest things that we haven't even mentioned when we're talking about team selection is the fact that people's fitnesses are at different levels, given that they've just come back. So that will have an impact as well, there's no doubt about that, the injuries as well. In terms of a prediction, I'm going to go with a draw. I'm going to go with another 1-1. If Arsenal get beat, it's not going to change my opinion on whether Mikel Arteta is the right man or not, because I think we're in a bit of a difficult time at the moment, and I don't think he's to blame for that. But I hope we don't get beat, because look at the reaction when we do. It's ridiculous. It's so OTT, and that is a culture and a mentality at Arsenal Football Club that is poisonous and needs to go. So whatever happens, let's be realistic and look at it and say, we know that the rest of this season is, as Dan always says, he's tapped out. It's a write-off. It's about, having a look at what we've got and planning for next season. So please, if we do get beat, let's have a little bit less of and I'm not saying you guys, but let's have a little bit less of the overreaction, because it's just not needed. And that is the worst culture at Arsenal Football Club. And that is the culture we need to be getting rid of first.
Well, I massively agree with you there, mate. I don't think there's any Arsenal fan in the world that doesn't agree with that, to be quite honest with you. Mark?
What, mate?
Are you all right?
Would you like some mango chutney?
No, I would like your prediction, please.
Well, like Harry, I think the result is irrelevant, although we do need some points because we are in danger of getting sucked into the relegation battle. So we do need to start chalking up some points sooner rather than later. We can do it. as long as we've got Aubameyang in the team, we've always got a chance. So I would like to see a positive team selection. So Tierney and Ashley Maitland-Niles on the right back. I'd like to see Saka and Martinelli start with Uber. I've got nothing against Laka, but I think, like you, I think he's going to be used as a cash generator this summer. So we might as well just get it out of the way now. So yeah, I just want to see a team selected, thinking of the future, mindful of the future. Let the boys play. Let's get behind them. We can do this. And I predict a young attacking side, and I predict a 2-1 Arsenal win.
Yeah, I'd love to see a young attacking side, Lee. Would you?
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Like, all I'm hoping is we just don't get an injury. That's the first thing that I'm praying for. You know what I mean? Because if I'll be honest, realistically, Sunday is the game now. It's the only thing we can win. You know, and I'd like us to see if we could win the FA Cup. I'm not saying that we're going to, you know, but that would be what I'll say. Listen, I watched Southampton the other day. They're better than Brighton. Their attackers are going to be too strong for our weak defence, unfortunately. Like, you know what I mean? 2-1 to Southampton is what I think will happen. But if we can get the win, I'll be more than delighted, and I'll enjoy it if we can. But unfortunately for me, I think that Southampton will be too strong for us. It's always a difficult place anyway, going down there. It's not one of our favourite places. Even when it was the Dell, it weren't great. So I'm disappointed to say it.
Well, I was just about to say, look at us. I mean, here we are talking about how we're not going to get a result.
Lee Southampton 5-1 to Southampton. I don't think it'd be as bad as that, Lee. Be a bit more positive.
You speak for yourselves. You speak for yourselves. I'm ever the optimist.
Ever the optimist. Yeah. Just in case you've been living under a rock. Just in case you've been living listening, living under a rock for the past day. Gwen Doozy.
I get paid to play a character, Lee.
I think I'm going to call you Graham.
That's the only missing piece of the puzzle, isn't it, Graham?
No. You're doing.
Is Graham well? Is he okay?
You're doing his job very well.
Yeah, he's okay. Man.
At least Graham asks if he can come in.
Yeah.
Come in there, Craig.
Come in there,
Craig.
Don't go leave for chutney.
Are we done here? I need some more Stilton.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah, you've permission to leave, then I might be able to get to say what I want to say. Gwen Doozy has got away with what he done at the weekend. No further action taken, which I find absolutely astonishing. When it's there, crystal clear. It's there, crystal clear that he got him round the neck and threw him on the ground. I mean, Jesus Christ, what more do you want? But anyway, I'm happy about it. I'm happy that he's escaped it because it means he can carry on playing, and we won't have any more. Who else are we going to put in his position if he couldn't play? But anyway, so not a very good outlook for the Southampton game. Not a very good outlook at all. No.
We've had a laugh.
Yes, we've had a laugh about it, and I'm sure we'll have a laugh about it on Monday next.
Well, thanks for coming back, Craig, and bringing all your positivity back to the show. And
it's nice to see nothing's changed.
I just want to say we're used to Thursday nights, though, so it might be an advantage for us, like, you know.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
My thanks to Dan. Thank you very much, mate.
Cheers, Craig. Good to have you back, mate.
Thank you very much indeed. My thanks to Harry.
By the way. If anybody don't know, he's tapped out, by the way. If no one he's tapped out.
I'm tapped out for the rest of this season. This project restart. Lee Judges knows it.
He's tapped out.
Hashtag tapped out.
Tapped out.
My
That's
thanks
what I'm
to
going to
Harry.
put down here.
Oh, Jesus.
Cheers, Craig,
Christ.
and welcome back, mate.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Steve. Make sure you go over and follow Harry's podcast at the Chronicles of a Gooner. Massively underrated podcast just behind this one. Go over there and support him, please, at Chronicles of a Gooner. There's a YouTube channel and a Twitter, so go over there and follow him. Mark, thank you very much indeed, mate.
Just saying.
Do you know what, the judge? Do you know what? I haven't had anyone on for a while. Do you know why? Because since I've become a dad, I seem to get up at the crack of dawn, and so I tend to record most of them in the ungodly hours. But you guys are welcome to come anytime. You know that. Exactly.
Thanks for having me on, Craig. It's good to have you back, man. All jokes aside, we'll have something positive to talk about next weekend. By the way, if you have never tried Stilton on crackers with mango chutney, I suggest you give it a go. It is absolutely life changing.
But where have you been living if you've never tried Stilton and mango chutney on crackers?
I'm just saying.
Do you know,
not for me. Cheddar, man. Cheddar.
There's a surprise.
End of.
With what? Any pickle, pickle, or what?
Cheddar, a bit of pickle. I don't mind a bit of chutney, but definitely none of that blue stuff in it, like Stilton. No,
Mark,
none of that old. None of that old for me. Thank you very much.
You're talking to a man who drinks half pints.
Right. No mold.
Does it surprise you that he only slices cheddar and puts it on a cracker?
No, I got a defend Judge here. Hold on, I got a defend Judge here.
Thank you very much.
And the reason I'm going to defend Judge is because 9 times out of 10, when you drink a pint, by the time you get to the end of it, it's warm like stale piss. At least with a half pint, it stays cold. You get through it and you get another one.
Straight down. Men drink half pints. Men drink half pints. Yeah. Straight down. No,
men drink
without sounding too sexist, well, I'm sure the women who are watching do agree with me. When I used to work in the bar and a fellow used to come up and ask for a half pint, I used to ask him, does it taste better out of a girl's glass?
No wonder you got a sack.
Yeah. Asleep in the cab. Asleep in the cab after 2 pints.
Who should we get rid of first? Should we get rid of that bloke who's always obnoxious to the customers?
The customer's always right. You know,
only to people I know, of course. Anyway, it's been great. It's great to be back. Nearly 400 live at one point. So thanks very much indeed. That's a big number. I can't understand why there's loads of people tonight.
It's because of you, Craig. It's because of you.
Well, yeah, because I'm a bit famous and all that now, and so not just the podcast. I'm not just. I'm only joking.
They always turn around and ask me how you are, how you. Lots of people always ask me your well-being and how are you and all that, like. And I said,
that's lovely to hear. That's lovely to hear.
They do, like.
Thanks very much indeed. That's lovely to hear.
That's Craig. A lot of people like you've got a lot of love out there, mate. I'll tell you that now, like
It's not about me. We're a team.
To have you back.
Yeah, we're a team, and it's not always about just one person. So, yeah, we're back to it next.
Just say something like it's good to have you back because the other three have got hair.
Oh.
He says it's not about one person, but he has called the show "The Return of Craig Scott."
Yeah, well, yeah.
Have you actually?
No, Harry, I haven't.
I was going to say.
No,
Harry, I haven't called it "The Return of Craig Scott." I called it "The Return of the Prodigal Son." Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next Monday. Thanks very much.
Cheers,
all the best.
boys.
Up the Arsenal.
Take care of yourselves and each other. Up the Arsenal.
Can you, Gunners?
Oh, God.